Welcome into the Fit Parent Podcast. I'm Jeff, joined by Amy.
What's up?
And we are rocking and rolling today. And I want to dig in today to the myth of willpower, the weaponization of discipline. And I say that not lightly.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued. This is the one I chose for today, so I'm excited.
So
And I chose it very selfishly because I want to know what this is.
I gave Amy two options for what we were going to talk about today, and this is what she chose.
Mm-hmm.
So we have talked about on this podcast, I cannot count the number of times, that willpower is not a strategy.
No.
The point of the game is to avoid a willpower game. If I get into a willpower game, I'm going to lose. Almost inevitably. And so the question is, how do I get myself out of a willpower game? And it's a similar thing of like motivation. Willpower and motivation are kind of synonymous in the space, right? Like how do I stay motivated? How do I get motivated? How do I just keep myself on pace? And oftentimes the solution, the platitude given by many, is we have to be disciplined. We have to build our discipline and be more disciplined and all of those things. And I want to be abundantly clear. I do not think that discipline is a bad thing, but I think it is being used as a paintbrush over the entire city of Manhattan, right? Like it is, we're trying to cover something very big with something that is not quite big enough to do it. And it's oftentimes too simple, because if I could be more disciplined, I would be more disciplined. That is no different than having more willpower, right? Like when we think of discipline, it's basically like, just try harder.
Yeah, just try more.
And if you try harder and try more for longer, then it'll just become instinct. I'm going to tell you something.
Tell me
right
something.
Now. I have worked out with consistency for over 10 years. It is my job. I have a podcast about it. I have helped hundreds of people do that. I've coached hundreds of coaches to help other people help other people. This is what I do.
Mm-hmm.
I have no motivation to work out a lot of times. I am also not so disciplined that I don't ever skip a workout. I have lifted the veil on this. There is no secrets that this can still be a challenge, even though I would argue, about as disciplined a person when it comes to working out as there are. I'm certainly in the top 1% of people. Mm-hmm. That does not mean that just because I've done it for a long time, that then I have no issues, because my discipline. And it's very like, I'm going to no filter. So forgive me.
I love this.
It's very machismo to say. And then it's used as weaponizing on women. So for men, it's like, if you're not disciplined, you're lazy. And for women, if it's like, hey, I didn't do this, it was my discipline, which then is really more, it's lazy, but it's softer. It's riddled with guilt, because it's just like, really, you don't want it bad enough. And then people come back with things like, you got to find your why. And I don't think that finding your why is a bad thing. We've established it on this thing. Right. But like the idea that at 4:30 in the morning, when my alarm goes off, for me to wake up and work out, I'm going to be thinking about, I want to be able to play with my grandkids when I'm older. That's not going to get me up at 4:30 in the morning.
No, when you're in your 30s or 40s.
It's just not.
Mm-hmm.
It might in the macro.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that, like, all right, I'm going to be more disciplined is just like, okay, now it's just strategy. It's just try harder, want it more.
Mm-hmm.
This is like the old football stuff that I used to be like, we did a blocking drill, story time.
Oh, it's too warm in my office for my blankie, but I want to snuggle up because I love Jeff's story time.
Jeff, 17-year-old Jeff, senior in high school. I'm the height I am now, 5'10", 5'11" in the morning, 160 pounds, beanpole.
Mm-hmm.
Started playing football my freshman year, and I was afraid to get hit. I didn't love getting hit. I didn't love getting tackled. I was okay with it, but I wasn't great at it.
I don't
Uh,
want to get tackled.
no, but like there's an embracing of it that happens, and I played scared. I played scared for my whole high school career. Full disclosure, I played scared.
Were you afraid of injury or just like really didn't want that impact?
I think it was just it's I wasn't afraid of injury. It's just a scary. It's contrary to instinct, is to like
100%.
run at a person full speed and collide with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to kind of like break that in your brain. And I just had a hard time with it.
Mm-hmm.
I also wasn't particularly big, right? I told you I was 5'10", 160 pounds. I was like very easily pushed around. I was long and kind of lanky. But I knew the game incredibly well, as was indicated by the fact that I coached it for a lot of years. I was heady. I was a smart guy. Like I knew exactly where I was supposed to be on every play. And physically I could get myself there because I was fast and I was agile and I could do it. But like if I had to make a tackle, there was a guy who was a running back. His name was David Zacco. He played for Nashua South, and he was my year. And he was incredibly talented, went on to play somewhere in college, but he was probably an inch taller than me, 2 inches taller than me. So he's 6 feet and he's 240
Mm-hmm.
and as fast as me.
Yeah.
And there was a play where I like ran up to tackle him. I was in the spot. It was like, I was other people should have tackled him, but I was the last line of defense. I ran up to tackle him. This dude ran me over. And I was like, I will not be run over by this guy. So I grabbed onto him by his legs, and he starts to like climb out of it. And I'm like literally like a little infant child holding onto his legs, and he's like running out of him. And I grabbed onto the back of the shirt, like the back of the bottom of his shirt. And I'm not exaggerating. He dragged me lying down flat for 10 yards. Like I was a little child.
This is such a great mental picture.
Until
really
somebody
lovely.
came and like helped me tackle him, because I was like, I'm not big enough to tackle this guy.
Mm-hmm.
There's really no amount of leverage. Like I'm not big enough to tackle this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in good position, did the whole thing right, and he just ran right through me.
Mm-hmm.
So like this was me as a football athlete. I was skilled. I could play the ball really well. I'd make catches and ran good routes, and I was in the right spot and could do interceptions and stuff like that. But like making tackles, throwing hard blocks was hard. And we ran, for somebody like me,
Mm-hmm.
the worst offense possible. It was like 3 yards in a cloud of dust. It was 7 linemen, 2 tight ends, a bunch of running backs. We just direct snapped it to the running back, and the running back just runs into the back of all the bodies.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, all right, let's see what we can do, and just
Mm-hmm.
move the pile forward.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's not what I'm set up for. I'm set up to be like far away from people. Me and another skinny guy, and we're just like dancing, and then I try to get open, and somebody throws me the ball. That's how I'm designed to play. Not in this situation. So my position, I'm going to get really specific. My position was wing back, which meant that I would basically stand next to the tight end, which was the Rob Gronkowskis of the world, the Travis Kelce's of the world. I stood next to him. In the NFL, they make those guys other tight ends. They make those guys 6'3", 250, all muscle.
Mm-hmm.
That was my position that I was playing. And so there was a play that we ran almost all the time where it was my job, me and the tight end, it was our job to double team a player on the other team. Like the two of us blocked one guy. That was our job. And we ran this play so often that my senior year, they came up with a drill called the double, meaning that they would practice this double team. And it was brutal because they would put the two of us, because our tight end was not NFL caliber tight end. Our tight end was maybe 6'2", 200. And they would put us trying to block together the best defensive linemen on the team, who were 6'3", 260, and freaking strong. And the two of us are trying to do them. And it was like a competition. They riled us up, and they're like, all right, gotta block him. And then you just had to keep going until you did it. So like if you tried to block him and he broke through, just get on and you do it again. And sometimes we take a 6 or 7, and it was basically like, we would have to go until the lineman got too tired to fight us anymore.
Yep.
And then we could move him. But it was like, we had to move this guy like 10 yards before it was awful. And we did this at the beginning of every practice. And it was a thing where it was like, together, we weighed barely a little bit more than this other guy. And they were incredibly talented at what they did. And we were good at it, but it's not our main job to block big people.
Mm-hmm.
Our main job, because it was never going to be somebody that big in the spot that we needed to block in a game. It was always going to be somebody like our size. So it was way easier to do in a game. I get why they did it, because we blocked the crap out of people during the game. But like in practice, it was terrible. And the coach would get there, like, you gotta want it more, get lower. Like, show me what you got. And I'm like, I don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have it. I don't have what it takes to move this guy. I just don't. We did other drills and this was back when I was a junior, where it was like head-to-head blocking, one-on-one blocking. And I got called out, and my junior year, I was 150 pounds. And I was called on to block a 275-pound all-state D lineman. I'm like, why am I doing this? And this was the old head coach who had been around for forever. And it was like, just block him. And I'm like, nope. He ran right through me and then got up and ran right through me. I didn't have what it took to tackle David Sacco.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't have it. It wasn't that I didn't want it. It wasn't that the form wasn't good enough. It wasn't that the strategy wasn't there. It wasn't that I wasn't in the right spot. I didn't have what it took.
Mm-hmm.
I did not have the skills necessary yet to do the thing. It is not a matter of being more disciplined. I lifted in high school. I won an Iron Lancer. The Lancer was our mascot. I won an Iron Lancer, which went to the most consistent lifter, both from intensity and showing up over the whole year, 12-month calendar year for my class. I won it all 4 years. I was in the gym constantly, in the weight room constantly. I went to every practice, everything. I watched every film. I did everything, quote unquote, right. And I didn't have what it took. And it wasn't because I didn't want it bad enough. I lost my starting spot as a senior after my first game because I got run over and I didn't have what it took. And they gave it to a junior who wasn't particularly better than me. He actually wasn't better than me in anything other than tackling people, which is kind of important when you're playing defense.
If that's your job, right?
But did a lot of other things wrong that I wouldn't do. But he would tackle people. And I was a liability back there. And so I lost it. And so for my home opener, my senior year, I had to stand on the sideline. And I did it for half the year. And people would ask me, like, Jeff, why aren't you playing? Like people in school on Friday, hey, you going to play tonight? I was like, I don't know. Showed up to every practice. Continue to work hard. Continue to do the double. Continue to do the drills. Knew every right spot, every weight room session. You don't think I wanted to be able to tackle the crap out of people? You don't think I wanted, as a 17-year-old, my senior year, and the way that we do things, like you really only get to play your senior year of high school. Like there are very few people who actually play as a junior. I played a little bit as a junior on offense before we changed our offense. So like there really wasn't an opportunity for me on offense because I'm not a wingback. So it was really only on defense. This was my shot. And I lost it after one game. And we played 10 games at the time. Week 7 was when I got my shot back. You don't think that I wanted it? You don't think I had a big enough why to get good at tackling? The choices are not lazy and fit. The choices are not lazy and disciplined. They're not mutually exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
You can have the best why. We establish Amy's. We talked about this on the podcast. It's the very first exercise that my clients do with me is we're going to figure out your point A and your point B. We're going to figure out why you're doing this and what it is that you're trying to accomplish. Because we have to have that. That's our guiding star. That's our North Star. This is what it is that we're trying to do. Why do you want it? Does that ever come into play with the decision making in the moment? Almost never.
Mm-hmm.
Where does that come into play? In our decision making in the macro, meaning if I'm trying to decide what is the next appropriate step for me in my fitness journey, in my business, when I help with people with the business, whatever it is, hey, what's the next appropriate step? And that step is going to be hard in and of itself. It's going to be challenging. Hey, I'm going to start going for a 10-minute walk in the morning. I'm going to add more protein, whatever it is. And I need to do all of the things that are going to be required of me in order to make that happen. And that's going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to cost me in the moment. I, at that moment, need to make the decision, am I willing to choose that hard versus the hard of the long-term thing? Am I willing to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to work out so that I can play with my grandkids? Am I willing to do that? And I make that decision not in the moment, but in the macro. And if I say, you know what, that is an appropriate decision for me in order to get the thing that I say that I want, then I made a commitment to myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm going to do. And then it's not a matter of discipline. It's a matter of keeping the promises you make to yourself. Keeping the promises you make to yourself different than discipline, because it's not about wanting it more. It's not about trying harder. It's about, I'm going to do everything that I can to do this thing that I know is going to be difficult, because it's going to lead to the thing that I know that I want. And when I don't do it, I need to ask, was it because what I was trying to do was unrealistic for me right now? Or did I not keep the promises I make to myself that I was perfectly capable of keeping? And it could be either or. But you can't just try yourself harder into it. I didn't work harder in practice from week 1 to week 7. I didn't do more workouts. I didn't watch more film. I didn't understand the concept better. I didn't even do extra tackling drills.
What was the turning point? What allowed you back on the team at Game 7? Or back in?
It's going to be the answer that nobody wants.
Did the other guy get hurt?
Nope. No, I won the spot back because I was consistent and he was not. He wasn't bad. He didn't lose anything. He wasn't like making, but I was consistent, and so I got better. So my skills got better. In my first game back, that week 7, the third play of the game, I watched so much film that I just knew everything that the other team was going to try to do, because this is New Hampshire high school football. They're not that complicated. I knew what they were going to do. And I saw them do a little thing between the quarterback and the receiver that I was covering. I was like, they're going to try to throw a screen. And so I didn't do what on paper I should have done. And I sniffed it out, and he caught the ball, and I planted this guy. Like, pile drived him to the center of the earth. My third play back. How did I know that I was going to be capable of doing that in the game? Because in practice, I was willing, again, I humbled myself to go back to where it was appropriate. And I'm proud of this version of Jeff. So this is what, 17-year-old Jeff did a lot of things poorly. This is one thing that 17-year-old Jeff did that I'm really proud of. I was willing, there's something called the scout team in football, where we have the starting offense goes against the scout team defense. So it's like whoever's not on the starting offense, you put the best of the rest out there, and they try to play the other team's defense against our offense, and vice versa. So because I wasn't doing a lot on our offense, I was like, I'm going to do scout team defense reps. Even though I could have rotated in with the offense, I'm like, I'm not going to play in the offense. Like, if they want me over, they will. But I took every single rep of scout team defense. And you know what I did in practice for weeks 4 and 5 and 6? I planted people on our starting offense. Back when you were able to do that in practice, I planted people because I just kept on trying to get reps. I kept on trying to get reps, and I was like, I'm going to try to figure this out, because I knew what it cost me. Right? I knew what it cost me, and I was like, I'm not satisfied with what this costs me, so I have to keep trying to improve my skills to be able to do the thing that is necessary in order for me to see the field. In order for me to see the field, they have to see that I can handle tackling somebody. So I got to figure out how to get better at tackling. And so I just kept on doing reps, and I was like, all right, that wasn't good. Weeks 2 and 3, I was missing people all over the place still. I was like, okay, I get why they're not putting me out there. I just kept on practicing. And I planted somebody in week 6, and I remember vividly the play. It's like it's ingrained in my brain. The play that I planted somebody in practice week 6. I got a couple of reps on the field in week 6, and I played well. Week 7, I had my spot back. And so it's the idea of, hey, do we keep the promises we made to ourselves in a clear mind? And then are we setting ourselves up for success with our current skill set? This is the leading behaviors versus lagging behaviors. All right. Is it realistic for me if I currently sleep until 7 to wake up at 4:30 in the morning? Of course not.
No. Try 6:30 first.
That would be like, oh, you're not disciplined enough to do it. It's like, no, it's not that you're not disciplined enough. It's that it's not fair to ask you to do it. Now I'm going to bring a parenting analogy into this. It is unfair for me to ask my 3-year-olds or my 5-year-old to do things beyond their skill set. It is 100% fair for me to start with a realistic stretch of their expectations and try to help them get there. But I can't, if let's just take a for instance. The one thing that I want to get to the point where my kids are putting their dishes in the dishwasher, right? Feels like a little bit of a stretch for a 3-year-old.
Totally.
Right? But what can they do? They can, when they're done, they put their dishes on the counter next to the sink. Okay, that feels reasonable. Then the next thing would be there. So that feels like a reasonable step for their skill level. That is at least a step in the direction of where they're trying to go. Why do I want them to do that? Understanding again, why do I want them to do that? But it would be unfair of me when they put that they're not getting upset with them for not putting their dishes in the dishwasher and being like, you just don't want it bad enough. Like, I don't understand why you don't want to listen. If tonight I was like, put your dishes in the dishwasher, and they didn't, I don't know, my kids would probably do it because they're like, yeah, I love it. But like, if I, just use this example, like if I was like, put them in the dishwasher, and they're like, I don't know how to do that, Dad.
Right.
Or if they tried to do it and they did it quote unquote wrong, and I got upset with them because they didn't do it because they didn't want to do the right thing bad enough. Like, that's ridiculous. My kids are undisciplined. I have anarchy kids. No, it's not that. It's that I haven't set them up for success with a reasonable ask of them in the moment. So then, how do I build the idea of discipline? How do I build the idea of consistency? How do I build the idea of like, I'm going to keep the promises I make to myself? Some of it is, think about the cost the other way. If I go to the grocery store with my kids and I say, we will not get candy inside. We're going inside for milk, and that is it. We are not getting candy. Do you understand? Yes, Daddy. Okay. We go in. They see the candy at the aisle. Daddy, I want candy. They're allowed to want candy.
Mm-hmm.
Not allowed to throw a tantrum in the middle of the store. They're allowed to want candy. But what did I tell them?
You set the expectation before it started.
What would be the worst possible thing for me to do right there?
To give them candy.
Why?
Because you set the expectation, they agreed to the expectation, and then you threw the expectation out when things got challenging.
Why is that a problem?
Because it sets them up for the next time they can do the same thing and get it. And it just, that behavior will continue.
Do they believe me?
No.
When I say we're not getting candy, if then we go inside and they get candy, then why would they trust anything that I say?
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't keep the promises that I made to them. So then, this is the question. When we think about discipline, it's a reframe. It's not about discipline. It's, did you keep the promises you made to yourself? If I said, I'm going to go to dinner and I'm going to have a boundary of 1 drink, right? Tonight, my wife and I are going to dinner. She's got some out-of-town family in. We have a sitter. We're going to dinner. It's down on the docks. The food this place is not particularly outstanding, but the drinks are great. Martingale.
Oh, yeah. Drinks are good. Food
is not worth the price.
Food is food.
Food is not worth the price that they charge for it. But the environment and the drinks are great.
Oh,
I'm going to have myself a margarita. 100% I am.
Mm-hmm.
If I go in saying I'm going to have myself a margarita, what is inevitably going to happen while I'm out to eat?
You're going to want to get a second margarita. If you give Jeff a margarita.
100%. But also, even if I wasn't thinking that I wanted it, there's going to be opportunity for another one.
Yeah, totally.
The
The
waitress is
waitress will
going to
come
come over.
by.
Hey, do you want another one? Hey, do you want to get another round? Somebody's going to ask me, hey, do you want another round? Like, there's going to be opportunity. So if I go in and I say I will have one margarita and then I don't, I go to 2 or 3. It's not about the calories. It's about the fact that I can't believe myself when I set a boundary, that there is no such thing as a boundary. It's not about being disciplined. It's about, like, why would I ever think that I could do anything else if I can't hold myself to the simple standard that I set? But what is a realistic standard? It would be unrealistic for me in this moment, in this season of my life, where I'm at, for me to go to this dinner and be like, I'm not going to get a drink.
You have children. You need a drink.
Kids, night out, like, or let's do another, for instance. My wife and I, we're going away on Saturday night to go see a comedian in Boston. We're staying overnight. We're going out to dinner with friends afterward. It's going to be great. It would be unreasonable for me to be like, I'm going to be in a calorie deficit on Saturday.
Are you going to go see Nate Bargatze? Oh, I'm so jealous.
That was my Mother's Day gift to her.
I love him so much.
Me too. I'm very excited. It would be unrealistic for me to think I'm going to be in a calorie deficit on Saturday. It's just not a realistic expectation. It would be an unfair expectation based on the circumstances. So the idea that I'm going to keep a promise to myself and that I've set myself up for failure. So the two things that we have to do are, one, with a clear mind in the moment, what is our why? And then what does that why dictate in terms of action? Then we test that action. Is that reasonable? Can I do that? Am I willing to do that? Am I 9 or a 10 out of 10 going to do that? If not, then don't plan to do it. You're setting yourself up to fail. And the problem with failure is not the actual failure. It's that it tells us that we are a failure, and it tells us that the boundaries that we set for ourselves don't matter. So then we have learned, just like our kids learn, boundaries don't matter. Boundaries don't matter. We've taught that to ourselves. And so as a result, the next time we're faced with a circumstance where maybe it's actually not even that difficult for me to hold the line, but I've learned that lines don't matter. It's not about the time, it's about the time after the time after the time. The idea that, like, hey, I'm going to wake up early and do a workout, even though I'm really tired, because I'm going to keep the promises I made to myself. Why is that valuable? It's not about that workout. It's about the circumstances of my life are always going to be challenging. But if I let the circumstances of my life determine what I do, then they're always going to determine what I do. And it's going to take less and less to change my behavior. Last night, all the family came, and so we went over and we did games. And this morning, I'm up at 4:30 in the morning to go wherever it is. The idea that because I stayed up later than normal last night, that then I don't have to wake up early this morning is ridiculous.
Yep. That's foolish, my friend.
But if I let myself give myself a pass on it because of whatever it is, then it could be, oh, I was up late watching a Netflix movie. I was up late scrolling on social media. It doesn't have to be an extenuating circumstance anymore, because I've learned that boundaries don't matter. Not inherently, but because my action has shown me that. And so we have to set ourselves up with a realistic expectation of what we can do, and then we keep the promises we make to ourselves with a clear mind. And it's not just because we want it more and we're more disciplined. It's that we came up with a plan. How do I not eat Oreos all the time?
Have Oreos in your house.
Go one step further. How do I not have Oreos in my house?
Don't have children? I don't know.
No, I don't have Oreos in my house because I place online grocery orders.
Oh, I just don't buy them.
No, but like for me, if I pass by them, I'm going to want them.
Oh, yeah, no. They don't do it for me. They're delicious, don't get me wrong.
No, I'm the same way. But it's, again, it was such a thing. It's maybe less so now, but like that's how I did it from the jump, was like, I can't go down the cookie aisle.
Well, there are only 3 servings in an Oreo pack.
100%. Row 1, row 2.
Row 1, row 2, row 3. That's That's a single serving.
That's the idea. It's like, I'm going to make the decision with a clear mind to stay disciplined with the idea of, all right, I don't want to eat Oreos. But I know that if I go there, then it's an unfair expectation. If they're in my house, it's an unfair expectation that I'm not going to eat them. And so I have to make the clear decision. If we go, I've talked about like when we go to my parents for a birthday, my mom makes a birthday cake and her birthday cakes are delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And she always wants to send me home with it. And I'm like, no, I will not.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because if it's in my house, I'm going to eat all of it. And so now I've actually started, because I had a hard time with saying no because she would just push back once. And I'd be like, okay, fine. So now I just say it before we go. Hey, just so you know, I'm not taking any cake home because I haven't tasted it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I'm making the decision with a clear mind. I'm setting the boundary with myself that I'm going to do it. If she tries to push back, then she does it again, then it's a conversation for me to have with my mom. She respected it. But like, if my mom asked me again after I said, hey, I'm just, I'm not taking any cake home. And then she said, hey, do you want to take any cake home? And certainly if I struggled with it, but even if I didn't, it would be a conversation the next time before we come over and say, hey, listen, I told you that I would want to take cake home and you asked. And I appreciate you asking, but I'm asking you not to ask. If you ask again, I will not come there again when there's going to be cake. And that might seem extreme, but it's a matter of, listen, I'm trying to keep the promises I made to myself. And I'm also trying to hold the boundary that I said. I'm trying to hold a boundary with people in my life. But I think oftentimes we can weaponize discipline as like, you're just not disciplined enough. I just need to be more disciplined. We treat that as the solution when it's a symptom of the solution. It's a byproduct, not a symptom. It's a byproduct of the solution. The solution is in the process of figuring out what is reasonable for me to be disciplined in doing. I can't make the leap beyond what I'm capable of in the moment. And so you have to be okay with it being a little bit slower so that you can actually stick with it. I had a vision for my household chores because I'm currently sitting on 5 clean laundry baskets full of clothes that need to be folded. I knew
it was 5.
Yeah. Did a poll yesterday about this. 5 clean laundry baskets of clothes that need to be folded. Because we just get behind and then we get more behind and then it gets too intimidating and it's like, I got so much that I need to do. And there's so many fitness analogies that I can do with that, but I'm going to give you this one, which was I had this grand vision at the beginning of the week that I was going to start quick pause. All right, unpause. My kids just walked in and said hello to me.
They're so cute.
So the idea of laundry that I had was I was going to put a load in the morning, change it over in the middle of the day, and then I would just fold one load a night. Like, folding one load takes 15 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, not a lot of time. I'm like, that feels totally doable.
I know people who do a load of laundry every single day. That's just how their house operates and always has.
Yeah, and again, I think I could probably get to, I don't necessarily think I need to do it every day, but we could probably get to like, the weekdays or something like that. We, get into a rhythm where I was like, all right. And I mapped it out, like morning, same thing with the dishwasher. I was like, I'm going to run the dishwasher overnight. I'm going to empty the dishwasher in the morning and then I'll load it throughout the day so I don't have to load it at night. And that time of having to load the dishwasher at night will then go into the laundry piece of it. Guess how many days I did that this week?
I'm going to be nice and say 1, but my gut tells me 0.
0 days. Why? That's too big a dang change.
It's a huge change.
That's a huge leap. I don't have the skills necessary yet to do that. And that might feel ridiculous.
No, it doesn't.
But it's like, why am I not disciplined enough to just do this? And that's what the narrative in my head is like, why can't I just figure this out? Like, I should be able to just figure this out. And that's the guilt that comes with it. Like, I should just be more disciplined. Like, wake up and do the thing. Like, it's not that hard. But I have a routine. I have a rhythm. I have a life that I've done for a long time. And the idea that I'm going to undo that or totally reprogram that in a matter of days is ridiculous, particularly when it's that big of a shift. And again, that might not feel like that big of a shift, but when I'm not doing any of that,
right,
and I
That's a
shifted to
180 shift.
all of it,
Yeah.
that is infinitely more. I am unloading the dishwasher infinitely more times
Yeah.
in the morning
By
than I
doing
do
it once.
by doing it once. Because normally I empty the dishwasher like later in the day.
Yeah. I empty it once my dish is finally dry. They never. Our dishwasher stinks. We do. Well, we're getting one when we do the kitchen right now. But now that's Emerson's job is to empty the dishwasher. So when they get old enough, you can assign them chores like this. And
Yes.
she loves it because she gets paid for it.
There you go.
She's like, the 50-cent chore. I'm like, it is. It's a tough one.
This is the concept, though, of like, why am I not more disciplined?
Mm-hmm.
It's because, again, I'm trying to do something in the moment that I don't have the skills for. So I made a promise to myself, what? That I could not keep. This is the difference from when our kids, right? Like, don't set a standard that you're not willing to live up to.
Right.
Like, there was, my son went to his 5-year-old friend's birthday party on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
And he was misbehaving, and there was a part of me that wants to be like, if you don't get it together, I'm going to take away James's birthday party. And I was like, I would never actually follow through with that. That's a promise that I'm not willing to keep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to keep. So if I give him that word and then he keeps doing the thing and then he still gets to go to James's party, then why would he ever think? So by doing this, and this is full disclosure, me lifting the veil, I did this poorly. We all struggle with this. I made a promise to myself I didn't keep. And so all I'm feeling this week is, man, I suck. Man, I am an undisciplined, lazy piece of garbage that I just can't get up and empty the dishwasher and throw a little laundry in. Like, it's not that hard. It takes 5 minutes. Like, I can't find 5 minutes. Like, oh my goodness. Like, so undisciplined. Just try harder. Trying harder is not
more,
a
Jeff.
Trying harder is not a plan, and being more disciplined is not a strategy. I need to set myself up for success with a reasonable expectation for myself for what it is. And it might feel ridiculous that this is the small step that I need to take. But if I'm willing to give myself a couple of weeks of small steps, I'll likely get to where I'm going to get. I could try to hold the standard that I tried to hold this week for 3 weeks. And you want to know how many times I will have emptied the dishwasher 3 weeks from now? 0. Maybe 1. It's not going to change. Nothing changes if nothing changes. So I have to look at this, be like, okay, it's not, if I just keep doing the same thing and butting my head up against the wall and be like, why am I not more disciplined? I just need to, like, I had this conversation with somebody and she's like, I just, if I don't want to do something, I don't do it. It's like, no crap. Of course you don't. Because that's not how we're wired. We are wired for survival. We're wired for what's easy, comfortable, convenient, and feels good at the time. That's what we do. And so the idea of like, I'm going to be more disciplined and intentionally make things harder for myself is not our instinct, and you're not going to do it. Unless it feels only marginally less convenient and you have set the standard for yourself based on the link between the action and what it is that you want, that you're like, that feels like a promise I can make. And then you hold that. And then you establish what with yourself by doing it over and over and over and over. You establish trust and consistency, but you establish trust with yourself that I do the things that I say that I'm going to do. So then when I make the next step feel appropriate, then I say, okay, I can do that because I already showed that I keep the promises I make to myself because I did it already with something that was reasonable. But if I keep just trying to be like, I'm going to be more disciplined, I'm going to white knuckle my way through, more willpower, more try harder, like want it more. Come on, Jeff, move the 260-pound guy. I can't do it. You're not going to do it. You will not be more disciplined 6 months from now, especially like wanting it more is not going to do it. You have to be willing to be like, okay, am I going to continue to have the same butting my head against the wall 6 months from now? Or am I going to humble myself to the point where I'm willing to take what feels like a reasonable step forward and try that? And then a reasonable step forward and try that. And it's going to feel so ridiculous that that's what you have to do. And it's going to feel so humiliating that that's what you have to do. But as 17-year-old Jeff would tell you, if you are willing to humble yourself and go back to things that you feel like you should be able to do and are almost beneath you, and you're willing to do just one thing a little bit better, and then the next thing a little bit better, and the next thing a little bit better, eventually, probably quicker than you think, you will make a fairly sizable growth in what you're actually accomplishing. And then it won't feel like you need to discipline yourself into it anymore. It will just be you're making a promise to yourself that you can keep, and you'll keep it. Because it'll feel like the next thing. The idea that I'm going to be in a calorie deficit flawlessly all the time, it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not tracking my food, the idea that I'm going to eat in a calorie deficit and track all the time, that's ridiculous. You're not. You're just not. Maybe you're the unicorn that might be able to, but you're not. It's just not reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the skills necessary to do it. It doesn't mean that you'll never get there, but like setting yourself up for success does not mean I'm going to start tracking everything. You may not even need to. If you're at 3,000 steps, the idea that you're going to hit 10,000 is unreasonable. It's not fair.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to fail. And it's not because you're not disciplined. It's not because you don't want it bad enough. It's because that's not fair. You're making a promise to yourself you can't keep. And so you erode trust with yourself. And when you erode trust, you destroy the relationship. And there's guilt and there's shame. All of that. Whether it's with me, with my kids, with other people, or me with myself.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea that I went from getting run over by a guy in week 1 to being back on the field and planting a guy on the third play week 7, that wasn't because all of a sudden I became more disciplined with my tackling strategy.
Mm-hmm.
That was progressed over the course of weeks, where the first week, week 2, was terrible. I felt like this is the most ridiculous thing in the world. I can't believe that I'm on the scout team. And I'm missing tackles on the scout team. This is so humiliating. But I figured something out that week. And I was like, okay, let me try this next week. And then the next week. And then the next week. And then the next week. And it's like any one of those weeks, not a single thing that I did any one of those weeks felt like too much of a stretch. But I stacked enough on them that 6 weeks later, it was totally different. You could change your nutrition in 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why you're going to stay exactly where you are is because you're not willing for it to take 6 weeks. You could change your entire body composition in 6 months. The reason why you're not going to, and you're going to still be here in 6 years, is because you're not willing for it to take 6 months. You can do it for 6 months, or you can still be trying to do it 6 years from now. And it's not because you're not disciplined. It's not because you're lazy. It's not because you don't have a big enough why. You don't want it bad because you're trying to do things that you can't do yet. My final analogy. If you were to drop, let's take 17-year-old Jeff, but even 25-year-old Jeff into current Jeff's life, dude would get buried.
Mm-hmm.
Dude would get absolutely buried. 3 kids, 5 and under, run 2 businesses, wife runs a business, mortgage, minivan. Dude would get buried. And the question is, people often ask me, like, how is it that you guys, like, I don't know how you guys do it. We grew with it. We didn't start with a 5-year-old and twin 3.5-year-olds and 2 businesses, 3 businesses between us and a house. We started with just the 2 of us, And we figured out how to be married. Then I started my business and she started her business. And then we had Levi. It was just us and Levi and a couple businesses. And we bought a house and figured out and then we had the twins. They were newborns. Just little steps. And then you look up and it's like, oh my gosh, here we are. And I'm not saying it's not challenging, but it feels like a reasonable level of challenge. I don't have to discipline myself into being in my life right now. But 25-year-old me, he would have ran. He didn't have what it took. It would have been unreasonable and unfair of me to be like, you just don't. Like, if I just plopped them in, I was like, this is your, like, you're the dad of these kids and you run these businesses. Like, be disciplined enough to get it together. It's not fair. I don't care what promises he makes. Like, I will not abandon these kids. It's like, dude, you don't have what it takes. It's not your fault. You haven't developed it yet. Start where you're at. Take a reasonable step forward. Make the decision with a clear mind. Be willing to go a little bit slower. Have your why. Determine the action, the least objectionable action, a reasonable action that is going to move you in the direction of the thing that you say that you want. Then make the promise that you're going to keep with yourself to do it. And then set yourself for success. That's what we're talking about with this. That makes sense?
I think it does. Very inspiring for me this week.
In my head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If you are tired of trying to do this yourself, particularly as this comes out, it's going to be right up around the beginning of school. If you're tired of doing the same thing over and over and over again every fall, I'd like to help you with that. Shoot me a message. Just says discipline. I'll know you came from this one. And we'll work on coming up with a plan for you so you can actually finally keep the promises you made to yourself to get to the thing that you really want. Because you can do it. You do have what it takes. You just have to build it. Chat with you soon.